Hey there, Dean 2! Welcome to my community, Dean Cap. I'm a silly goose. Honk!
If there was something wrong, would you be all so strong? Would you do what it is to move this whole life along? I like to think I would, you know I like to think I would. But I can guarantee that what you see is not reality. Never touch you, makes a point to make it get a point. You said it's easy, but in the end you have no choice. And you know, so just the way that
Hey there, YouTube. My name is Mike Smith, and you're watching my newest community recap. This time I'm talking about the latest episode, Documentary Filmmaking Redux. This is sort of like a semi-sequel to last year's episode, Intermediate Documentary Filmmaking, which was a great episode in its own right. That was where they sort of took on the documentary format to sort of not really make fun of, but just like it's like parody mockumentary sitcoms like The Office, Modern Family, Parks and Recreation, that kind of thing. And it worked really well. It was a really funny episode, and it really worked well with the characters. There's a lot of emotional stuff in that episode too, which worked well with the characters and stuff. And that episode also gave us LeVar Burton's guest spot with Troy's freak out singing the Reading Rainbow song in the bathroom. I'm sure any Community fan would remember that moment pretty well. But anyway, that's a great episode. And when this episode first started and I saw that they were doing the documentary thing again, I was like, I was in, because it's Community, and I'm like, I had faith in it, but I was a little wary just because I wasn't sure, just the fact that they were doing it again, I thought maybe they had run out of ideas or something, or like they phoned this one in just because they were doing it again. Totally not accurate at all. This is a great episode. One of the best of the season so far, in my opinion. Instead of the previous documentary filmmaking episode, which was a mockumentary style thing, this was more of a parody of behind-the-scenes type things, specifically Hearts of Darkness, the documentary about the making of Apocalypse Now. And it does it really well. It's structured, the Dean is creating a commercial for Greendale, and of course he enlists the study group's help, because why not? Well, I believe it's because they're the most coincidentally diverse, I believe is the way he puts it. And Abed decides to film the whole thing for a documentary in a Hearts of Darkness style. And you see the Dean slowly descend into madness. And it's really great. Jim Rash is amazing in this episode. This is his best stuff. This is the first time we really get to see a different side of the Dean, and that was really cool. But I personally think Jim Rash deserves an Emmy, for this episode alone. And I think Community deserves a ton of Emmys, and it's never going to get them. But I think Jim Rash deserves an Emmy for this, or at least a nomination. Come on. But he was great in this episode. He was awesome. Also, other highlights: Luis Guzman guest starred in the episode. So I guess if they do more documentary episodes, it's going to be sort of a pattern, which I could see them doing. Maybe a documentary episode every season if they make it to another season. But let's not think about that right now. So LeVar Burton was in the first documentary one. This one had Luis Guzman and Jeff Garlin in the end tag. But Luis Guzman was cool because in the first, I think it was in the first season, they put up a statue of Luis Guzman. And so it was cool to see him on the show and his statue there. That was pretty cool. He was pretty funny. And Jeff's impression of the Dean, which I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, but if I didn't, Jeff's impression of the Dean, again, was amazing. That was pretty great. Jeff played the Dean in the commercial. And I think the highlight of the episode for me was when the shoot had gone on for 12 days, and Jeff was in the Dean costume, and he began to lose himself in the role. And Abed was like, "How are you feeling, Jeff?" And Jeff's just sitting at the Dean's desk, and he's just sitting there like this. It's I've become a stranger to myself. It's a really great line. It's much better when you hear Joel McHale say it rather than me. So if you haven't seen the episode, then I just ruined it for you, and I apologize for that. But it's a really great scene. The other characters have really great moments as well. Shirley gets a line in, which is great. Cause I think a valid criticism of this season so far has been that Shirley's been kind of shortchanged, and she doesn't do a lot in this episode, but she gets a couple of good lines in. so that's good. Annie has a really funny. She's a script supervisor, and she goes like, she starts to go a little insane as well, and she kind of develops the Stockholm syndrome, where she has a really funny line regarding that. Troy and Britta, their freak out, like their progressively increasing freakouts are really great. Senor Chang is really good as Jeff's understudy. He only has like 2 scenes, but they're really he's really funny in this episode. Pierce, he opts not to be in the commercial. Well, he wants to be in the commercial, but he demands a trailer, and then he rents a trailer because he doesn't have one. And that's very funny as well. But the best thing of that came at the end when the trailer got moved to Hollywood, and Jeff Garlin is walking with his assistant, and is like, okay, here's your trailer, Mr. Garlin, and the door opens, and Pierce like I'm a star, and he just runs out of the trailer, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. I also think this episode is kind of cool just based on the time that it aired, just because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of drama going on in the community right now about whether it's going to come back for a 4th season, or, I mean, some people think it's going to be canceled. Some people think they'll do a 4th season. I very much hope that a 4th season is going to happen. But, as of right now, it's been pulled from mid-season without like the last 12 episodes. They're still going to do those last 12 episodes, but they haven't said when they're going to air yet, which is frightening for any community fan. So I think this is a really interesting episode because, like now that all this attention is around community, this would have been an episode to kind of bring more people into the show. And if you watch the episode, it's clearly just for fans of Community. Like, it's not trying to be broadly accessible or anything. And Community has never really tried to be broadly accessible. I mean, maybe in like the first season, but I mean, it got progressively weirder as it went on, and it has embraced that, and that's the beauty of this show. And I think they've accepted that, and they know that they're not going to win many new fans over with this episode. Especially with this episode. I mean, okay, to really get Community, you have to, be watching from the beginning to get like the full character dynamics. I mean, that's the thing. That's a given, sort of. But you also have to have a really good understanding of pop culture, which I like to think that I do, but a lot of people don't. But like, it was like pointed out to me, like in the season premiere of this season premiere of Community. There's a joke about Cougarton Abbey, which is the British show that Cougar Town is based on. In order to even get that joke, you have to understand that Cougar Town is a show. You have to understand that Downtown Abbey is a British miniseries. You have to understand that they do often take British shows and turn them into American shows. You have to understand that Cougar Town is Abed's favorite show. You have to understand that British shows have notoriously short run times, like they only air a couple episodes and then they're done. So, I mean, it's a lot to take into if you think about it. I mean, if you're well ingrained in pop culture, then it's not a lot to think about because you already know all this stuff. But newcomers who don't watch TV and movies all the time, like I do, or other people do, they don't really get that. And that's probably the reason why Community is not a ratings powerhouse, is because it doesn't pander to that audience. And I mean, I love that. I love Community for that. And yeah, I mean, in this episode, you have to understand that Hearts of Darkness is a thing. So there's that. Like, you're gonna need. I mean, I'd imagine most people would know about Hearts of Darkness if they know about film or anything. But if you've never seen Apocalypse Now, you've never seen Hearts of Darkness, you're not going to get this episode. I mean, if you know about them, then you might get it, but like, I don't know, it just doesn't. It's not trying to get a new audience. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not worried about getting a new audience, even though like science says they probably should, but they're not going to, and I respect them a lot for that. And this episode just cemented the fact that, yes, Community is the best show on television, in my opinion. So, yeah, I guess that about wraps it up. unless there's anything else I can think about. But unfortunately, there's no new community this week because of, Thanksgiving. That crazy holiday. So, no community this week, so no community recap this week, unfortunately. I'll be seeing The Muppets on Wednesday, so I'll be telling you about that. I'll be seeing Hugo very soon, so I'll be telling you about that. I'm going to try to go see Melancholia. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try to see Melancholia sometime. And The Descendants is also going to be playing near me soon, so I'll be trying to get that going. And there's a lot of people talking behind me right now. You can ignore them. They're just aggravating voices in a hallway. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So, yeah. That's my community recap. And remember, people, you got to follow community, or save community. Hashtag save community. Hashtag 6 seasons in a movie. Do it on Twitter. You can tweet, send letters to NBC, send felt goatees, or send paintballs or something. Send something to NBC, I just really want this show to stay on the air for at least a season 4. I think, let them graduate at least. But, yeah. So that wraps it up for community. Remember, I'm Mike Smith Film Blog. You can follow me on Twitter at msmithfilmblog. That's how you do it. And, yeah. So, that wraps it up. My name is Mike Smith. Your YouTube. And, go Greendale, go Greendale, go!